Thank you. I can confirm you're live on YouTube.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending today's meeting of the Kings Lynn and West Norfolk Area Museums Committee. I will now conduct a roll call to check who is present at the meeting. Councillor Bland is not currently in the meeting. Councillor Bubb.
Present.
Councillor DeWally.
Present.
Councillor Kemp.
Present.
Mr Davison.
Present.
County Councillor Banbridge.
Present.
County Councillor Chenry of Horsborough.
Present.
I've received apologies from Councillor Ward. Councillor Kybird is not currently in the meeting. Oliver Bone.
Present.
Dr. Robin Hanley.
Present.
And I've received apologies from Miss Lindsay Bavin and Philip Eek. Please may I remind members that this meeting is being recorded and streamed live via YouTube. By attending this meeting, you are giving your permission to be recorded and streamed. Members should ensure that during the meeting, microphones are turned off until they are invited by the chair to address the committee. When addressing the committee, can you please state your name first so that all those present know who is speaking? Please speak clearly, concisely, and get straight to the point. Please refer to the page number on the agenda which you are addressing to the committee. So the first item on the agenda is to invite nominations for a chair for the remainder of the municipal year 2024-2025. Can I remind you that the chair has to be a borough councillor? So can I please have any nominations? Councillor.
I'm happy to nominate Councillor Kemp if she's willing to accept.
Can I just state, I believe you're a represent under Norfolk or borough councillor. So yes. Oh yeah. So sorry. Yeah.
I'm happy to nominate myself for vice chair when we get to that.
Oh no, that's fine. Sorry, I just got myself muddled up there. So are you proposing for Councillor Kemp to become chair?
I am, if she's willing.
And is there a seconder for that, please? Councillor Jackson. Okay. And is everyone in agreement with that?
Are there any more nominations?
Oh, apologies. Were there any more nominations?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Bubb.
Councillor Bubb. And is there a seconder, please, for Councillor Bubb? Okay.
Are you willing? Oh, yes.
Okay. So can I have a vote for those who wish Councillor Kemp to become chair? And those for Councillor Bubb to become chair? Okay.
Repeat the last, yeah.
Right. I mean, can we come to some sort of conclusion on who becomes chair?
Can we vote for vice chair first? I propose we vote for vice chair first. Maybe we'd like to second that.
I believe we have to get the chair confirmed first before we appoint the vice chair. Okay. Let me.
No, I'm quite happy with the arrangement for Councillor Bubb to be chair and myself to be vice chair. I think as a committee we can decide that if we wish.
Well, the problem is because you're a borough councillor representative on this committee, the chair has to be a borough councillor and the vice chair has to be a Norfolk County Council representative.
Okay, so what difference?
Thinking completely impartial, as Councillor Kemp is the county councillor, she can position herself as vice,
Well,
whereas I can't.
no, so from reading the terms of reference, I know you're a county councillor, but for this committee, we have to have a borough councillor representative become chair and a county councillor for the vice chair.
Yes,
So for this committee,
yes, so
you're
that does,
representative of the borough councillor, so you wouldn't be able to become vice chair.
well, I've been vice chair for the rest of the year, the previous year, so I think that's completely wrong. So therefore, I think I vote as I propose as a committee that we vote for vice chair first, and I'd like to nominate myself, and I'd like a seconder for that, please. Councillor Bambridge is seconding. Who would like to agree that?
Sorry, councillor Kemp, we won't be able, we have to appoint the chair before we do the vice chair.
We have appointed the chair, but it was only, oh no, it's equal.
It's equal.
And we haven't got casting
Just
vote.
for point of information that you might have to repeat stuff, see if I got it right. You're talking about someone who's nominated on this committee as a county councillor to be vice chair.
Yeah,
Not-
so
Not to be being one, it's not enough to have to be nominated on this.
yes, we have to nominate a chair and a vice chair.
Can I just clarify, because that wasn't said on the speaker. So my understanding is that we are in the process of voting in a chair. We're currently at a deadlock, which has to be decided. Then we can go to
To appoint the vice chair.
appoint a vice chair, but the vice chair must be a county councillor representative
For this
Yeah.
for
committee.
this committee, not a borough councillor representative.
That's correct.
Where is that written down? I've never seen that before, and I find that quite incredible that I can have been vice chair for the previous year and somebody's made up another rule to say you can't be a vice chair if you're a county councillor.
No, so I've got the
I don't think
terms of
so.
reference here, and it says,
Vice chair has to be a county councillor.
Yes,
yes,
exactly.
but for this committee, you represent, you're like representative of a borough councillor rather than your county position for this committee.
Yeah.
So you would be able to become chair if he was appointed, but the vice chair would need to be a Norfolk County Council representative for the Kingston area.
Well, I still think that that's plainly ridiculous, really, when I'm a county councillor.
You'll have to take up the legal.
If I may, then it sounds to me that it would assist if we just heard that from a monitoring officer
Okay.
to confirm if
Let me see
if that's acceptable, and at least that moves us forward.
Can we have a look at the rules that you've got there, please? Yes, officer, it simply says the chairman shall be a member of Kings Lynn West Norfolk Borough Council and the vice chairman shall be a member of the county council. That's what it says. Doesn't it go into ramifications about county councillors being or not being, as the case might be, members of the borough council?
No, so at full council, borough councillors get appointed to outside bodies, which this one is, and you were put forward as borough councillor representative for this committee. Georgia, would you be able to put us in recess, please, just whilst we get some clarification from a legal representative, please?
Yes, of course, bear with me.
Thank you.
Yes, officer, it certainly doesn't exclude the fact that a county councillor
Hi, Georgia. Would you be able to take us back on air, please? Thank you. Okay. So after receiving some advice, we'll go back through the process. So can I please have any nominations on who wants to be the chair? Councillor Dwyer?
Thank you. I nominate councillor Kemp.
Okay. And do I have a seconder for that, please? Mr. Davison, thank you. And do we have any other nominations, please? Councillor Bambridge?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Bell.
Thank you. And do we have a seconder for that, please? Okay. Right, so we're going to have to, as it's a tie, we're going to have to flip a coin to see who becomes the chair. Okay, so tails will be councillor Kemp, and if it's heads, it will be councillor Bubb. Okay, it is heads, so can I have councillor Bubb to become the chair? Did you want to come round and take a seat here, please? Yeah, so you've got the chair's notes there. So we're now down onto the item 2.
Right, thank you for that toss of the coin. Can we have nominations for vice chair? I nominate councillor Kemp. Any seconders for councillor Kemp? Any other nominations? Councillor Kemp, vice chair.
Secondly, because you're allowing it to be in vice chair as a. I'm very happy with it, but your vice chair is coming from the borough as well.
Two hats.
Because I know last time you said that if you weren't chair, you couldn't be vice chair, so.
No, because I'm
No.
not a county councillor.
No, so we sort of worked it this way.
So we've done the apologies for absence, haven't we?
Yes.
Minutes of the previous meeting. Do we accept the minutes as a true record of what happened? Sadly, I missed that one.
Yes, we do.
Any matters arising from the minutes? No? Good, okay. Any declarations of interest? Any committee member have any interest you need to declare? No interest? Okay, so on to item 7 then. Report of the Assistant Head of Museums. And for those of you who've got the agendas, it's page 15 to 31.
Wonderful. So before you have the report of the summer months, June, July, August, for activities at the Lynn Museum. And we kick off by thinking about the exhibitions at the museum. Currently we have The Moon, Meet Our Nearest Neighbour. And Robin and I were over at the museum earlier and seeing it. It's coming down. Last day was yesterday. So we're in the process of transition to the new exhibition. The Moon has been a little different from other exhibitions we've had at Lynn Museum, including a sort of scientific aspect to it, as well as the cultural, historical
aspects, and has gone down really well with visitors. And I'll come to the visitor numbers for the Lynn Museum a little later, but I think as I reported at the last committee, the visitor numbers are very good. A lot up on last year, which was again up on the year before. So I think we're very pleased with how the Moon exhibition has gone. Our new exhibition, which opens in a couple of weeks' time, and all members of the committee are warmly welcomed. We've been a bit slow getting our invitations out, I'm afraid, but the opening event date for the diary is 2 o'clock on Tuesday, the 1st of October. So we'll be going into our usual free admission period in the sort of the darker months of the year, as it were. And this new exhibition, as reported previously, is Woof, a celebration of dogs. And that will run through until late June next year. And this one is a combination of material from the King's Lynn collections, as well as items borrowed in from the rich dog-related exhibition collections from around the county. So we've got material being borrowed from Grassenhall Museum, the Ancient House Museum Thetford, the art department and the costume and textile collections at Norwich, and also a large painting from the collections at Great Yarmouth. So it's very much a Norfolk Museum Service show, this one. And in addition, we've got external loans coming in from Tate Gallery and the Kennel Club. We went to visit the Kennel Club last year, and they've been very generous with their lending out material, and also they're going to come and do us a couple of talks linked into the exhibition theme. So we've been pleased with how that's gone. The exhibition includes material from it's got a bit of everything really. It's got archaeology, it's got social history, it's got art, it's got natural history as well. We've got there's a taxidermy wolf. It looks as if curled up as if it's asleep. When visitors come into the museum, in our reception case, where previously we've displayed material on loan from the British Museum, we're going to have a beautiful Roman gold ring with an intaglio featuring a dog. And this will be a useful conversation piece for visitors so that the staff are able to explain about what there is to see in the other gallery, and as a sort of introduction really to the show as a whole. I'll pause there in case there are any questions around the dogs exhibition.
Can I Okay, all right. Yeah, I just said how what a lovely example of a painting is that dog in the Lancia style. But I was going on go on to say that I read the minutes earlier, and I wish that I'd been able to make the last meeting, because you discussed who you're going to exhibit, and dogs and everything, and it was suggested sort of one Stubbs and others. But I think I would have liked to have seen something by Sally Muir, who does dogs, just does dogs. She's not local, she's based in Bath. But she's the daughter of Frank Muir, yeah. And she's an established artist. She's been exhibited a lot in the RA. That's how I got to know. I've got one of her paintings at home. And it's beautiful. If you would look it up sometime, you get some marvelous pictures, modern pictures of dogs, and they're in various different styles and breeds. One I particularly liked, and I've got a print of. I didn't get the original. Got a print of, and that was called Very Very Old Dog, and it looked so wonderful, the double dog. But that's. I just said that's where I would have suggested at the time. It's too late now, I know, but if you're going to do it in the future, I think if it's this a success and you're going to do it in the future, I think if you want to enhance it, I think you could get Sally Muir paintings in there. Would be a good addition.
Leslie.
Thank you.
So we're going for 2 p.m. on that afternoon. We had previously gone for a later time one day, and King's Lynn went into gridlock, and it was a problem for people getting there. So we've gone for an earlier 2 p.m. time.
Can we, in the interests of balance, look forward to Meow, a celebration of cats to follow?
I'd just like to add quickly, it's a wonderful exhibition because dogs are associated with everyone. And I think that's something what I like about this. People will come to the museum because hardly anybody doesn't like dogs. Same goes for cats. Well, I'm not particularly keen on cats. I'm more a dog man, but that's it. Dog has always been with man since they started, since man developed into humans developed into what we are there. Always been there. So it's been dogs have played an important part in the development of our civilizations, you could say. So I think it's a marvelous. It's ideal for a museum to be putting on. It should be done more. It should have been done more in the past, and I think that's what I like about it. So it'll get people interested, and I think that's why I think there may be other exhibits the same as this in the future.
Michael.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I've been hugely impressed with the quality, success, and the breadth of the temporary exhibitions in the museum, and from what I've read of the dogs, it's going to be as successful and as enjoyable as the others. So thank you and congratulations on that. It may, if I may, I'll go off the chair's example. In terms of future exhibitions, I was very kindly invited to have a look around Aikman's Yard. I don't know if that's something we would like to do as a committee, but I think it was extremely informative for me, but it did suggest that given what's housed there, that perhaps a topic for a future temporary exhibition be that of exploration, not least of the Northwest, because we have two very famous names associated with King's Lynn: Captain Samuel Gurney Cresswell as an explorer and artist, and of course Captain George Vancouver, and potentially those could link in very well with the town's history. And the other potential thought is that in a couple of years' time, hopefully we will be reopening the Guildhall, but perhaps a complementary exhibition to celebrate the reopening and the history of the Guildhall, whether that might be Guildhalls, whether it might be the history of theatre, not sure, but it's just a thought that it would be good to have that. I hate the buzzword, but I will use it: synergy, so to speak. Thank you.
Can I just add, I'm sorry, but I just clicked there. I just thought that, well, when you mentioned Eggman's Yard, that's a very good suggestion. I think that's something everybody should see. I haven't been there for years. I've been in there for years, but I bet there's still a lot there that was there then. And there is a lot there that I think we should be sure more of, especially to this committee, is of the industrial heritage Kings Lynn had, or the industrial past, if you like. But there's a lot of Savage's collections there, a lot of the original drawings, the parts of the machinery, some of the horses, what they built. But I think the important part was the engineering they pioneered there. And I think that's something which I think we should go and see, and I think we should encourage young people to go and have a look at, because it's very good education there for especially young boys and girls who want to become engineers, etc. They can see how Kings Lynn itself contributed to the Industrial Revolution, you can say, but also how we supported agriculture through engineering. That's how the Industrial Revolution started. So I think it's important. We played a bigger part there, and I think we underplayed that. We've always underplayed that in this area, and I think we should make more of it in the future. And I think more exhibition, something like that, see what's in there, and see if we can in the future have an exhibition of what our industrial past in Kings Lynn and what effect it has had on the town's structure.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think the stuff is crying out to be seen permanently. And the obvious place to put it is the Carnegie Library, once it stops being a library. Museum Conservers could take it on. It's already NCC owned. It's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what others feel.
Yes, I would agree that there's huge scope for the museum service to be doing even more. And I was going to make the point of the two collections in the tower at the Carnegie. You've got the St Margaret's collection and you've got the Stanley collection, which were very important historical records. Some of them go back to medieval times. And I think that in the 60s, there was a bit of a debacle where some of the books were in a house in King Street and got carted through the town. There's a story and some of them nearly perished. So we must make sure we look after them. And there was a very successful exhibition in the Carnegie recently of some of the manuscripts, and people flocked to that. And then they sort of go back upstairs, and we need to bring them down again. So what can we do for sort of more joint working between the museum service and the library service to make sure that we're looking after our heritage buildings and making sure that they keep their purposes and bring culture and learning to everybody?
Chair, if I can just respond. So obviously there is a process ongoing around the Carnegie Library. We do have I think a really good track record of working really well in partnership with Norfolk Library Service, whether it's around research or sort of activities, and we'll come on to talk a little bit later about our work together around programs like Kick the Dust. Just in terms of Eggman's Yard specifically, I know that there has been some discussion between Oliver and the borough colleagues around a date for a member visit, because that was something we have discussed before. We've on a number of occasions shown members, including the chair and vice chair, around Eggman's Yard. Very happy to do that. And I think perhaps at the end of the meeting there is a date that's been suggested for a tour for those areas in committee members that would like to join us. As has been said, and members who've been to Eggman's Yard will be aware, you know, there's a broad range of collections there, and we do regularly draw on those collections to support the temporary exhibition programme that Councillor Dwally was talking about earlier. And we do have active projects, including the Newman project, running at the moment to ensure that information about those collections is made as accessible as possible. Thank you.
Sorry, just to follow up, I didn't hear anything about how we're going to make more of the Stanley and the St Margaret's collections in the Carnegie and bring them to a wider audience.
That's not currently the responsibility of Norfolk Museum Service.
Leslie.
So to continue the report, and thank you for suggestions around programming and so on. Item 1.3 at the bottom of page 17, the museum continues to deliver family events through, we were thinking here about the summer holiday period, and you can see in the report the success of the various different topics that we had at the museum. We're very fortunate in having an excellent staff team at the Lynn Museum who are able to do the delivery, sometimes supplemented by additional freelance costumed interpreters. So very pleased with the participation in those various family events, also trails and the mini museum club that we offer at the Lynn Museum, with numbers in the report. The coffee morning programme, which we've mentioned here, we're keen to have that participation as wide as possible. There's been mention of involvement of people who can come out from care homes perhaps, and again this is something that we're working on. The talks programme, we like to connect some of, at least of the talks to the exhibition themes, and we've had a sort of variety of different talks in this summer period that we're thinking about here. Something we've done for the first time for a long time has been a finds identification and recording day, which linked in with the Festival of British Archaeology, which takes place each July. And this year we were able to involve our colleagues at the Finds Identification and Recording Service, and we had members of the public come in with objects that they'd found for identification and recording by experts. And this was a popular day and something that we'd hope to repeat in the future.
You get quite a few people going home with their finds delighted, and you haven't put a good value on them, or they're doing, yeah.
So it's a bit different from the Antiques Roadshow. So it's not about values. It's more about knowing whether, you know, the date, further information about it. And it's a two-way thing, because we're then also able to record the location of the finds, which is added to the important database of locations, which again tells you something about the history of the county.
Have we found anything of note? Have people brought anything in that we ought to have in the museum? Any treasure trove?
So there is a treasure process for objects, and we work closely with our colleagues. What happens is, if things are identified as treasure, and there are particular sort of specifications as to what counts as treasure, then local museums such as the Lynn Museum has an opportunity to register an interest in that item. You have a month to do so, and then once that interest is registered, then you go down the process of acquiring it for the museum with grant aid and so on. So we have over the years had very interesting things brought in that people have found. One was a Bronze Age gold torque that was brought into the museum, for example, one day in a carrier bag. Someone had been doing some work in the field and discovered this important artifact. So you never quite know what people are going to bring in. That's one of the exciting bits of being a sort of public interface, really, at a museum.
But they're now bringing in Flintstone with a bit of mud just, you know, stuff packed in, and underneath all that, there's gold coins. They found quite a, that was in Norfolk. What happened there? So they're finding, everybody's bringing in Flintstones now, do they?
So
Just in case.
I suppose it's about material culture and evidence for the past, and you know, evidence of flint working is in many ways as important as you know, finds of gold. It doesn't have the same monetary value, but in the way it feeds into our knowledge of the past, it's important.
It's just that the flintstones are actually containing.
Well, that sounds very intriguing. I'd like to know more. I don't know about that instance, but I'd like to know more about that. Yes, so just to continue the report.
Just to say, the talk, the Iron Age talk, what happened to that? Did it come to the museum or go to the British Museum, or was it, because it would have been treasure trove, surely, being Iron Age? I'm a great fan of the, you know, the Snettisham hoard and the talks. I think they're one of the most marvellous pieces of artwork in the world, that kind of, the technology that produced them and the art. And, you know, ours have mostly gone to the British Museum, so it would be nice to have some permanently back.
Yes, I think it's for the local museum to express an interest, and the relationship with the British Museum is now excellent. The British Museum have been very good at lending local material, but of international importance. Yes, that particular instance was outside our patch. So our collecting area is the Borough Council area. So that particular gold talk has gone into the Norfolk collections looked after for the county. Yes, I do agree that it's good for local material to be you know, shown locally if it's important. I agree with that.
And just to say, Chair, I think the position has changed significantly in the last few decades. So the British Museum is now, you know, we're not competing with the British Museum, as it were. So I think there's a very strong recognition that in the vast majority of instances, local material should be retained locally, which is exactly right. And Norfolk Museum Service has got a really good track record of not only working with metal detectorists, field walkers and others who are discovering this material, but also then acquiring it for the permanent collections. And I think Norfolk, you know, nationally for many, many years has had amongst the highest levels of reported finds. And that's both treasure and non-treasure material. And one of the key reasons for that is there's been a really strong relationship built between Norfolk Museum Service and the Finds Identification Service and the metal detecting clubs that are out there in the field. So it doesn't happen by accident, but there's a really good legacy in Norfolk of really positive relationships, which means that material is being reported and recorded, but also, you know, the best material is then being acquired for local museum collections.
Can I just quickly add, I'm not doing too much of it, but I just want to quickly add because it worries me when we get talking about treasure, about what is treasure. And people always think when you're looking for anything historical, you're looking for something that is valuable in its monetary aspect, as well as the weight in gold or silver, whatever. The most important thing we need to get across is that it's about information. It's about finding things that will give us an idea how we lived and what anything. And in archaeology, people put it with old, but really it's new because you're finding something new nearly all the time. And I think that's what we've got to bear by. I mean, something just like a bit of biscuit can tell you a lot about what we built there, where we lived. So it's getting people interested in the idea of what museums about, what history is, how exciting it is to find out how we lived in the past.
If I may, Chair, in many respects, it's the valuable items, the gold and such like, are abound because they don't deteriorate so much. It's naturally, it's wood, it's cloth, it's leather. those are the materials that are that don't survive the test of time. And so, for example, the Must Farm site just over the border is so extremely valuable because it has that social that history that is so much rarer than the hoards that excite everybody. That would be my perspective. So yes, thank you.
So to continue, as you know, and previously reported, the museum has a very good, important pilgrim badge collection. And we're working, as previously reported, with Professor Michael Lewis from the British Museum, who comes from King's Lynn, and he is going to be working with us on the creation of a new catalogue of the pilgrim badges with further information acquired from metal detectorist finds and so on for our particular area, which will be really good. And connected to the pilgrim badge collection, we have in the team very talented person, museum learning assistant Hayley Simmons, who she went on, there was a craft course at Sedgeford where she learned about this technique of casting in metals, this pewter material. And we were able to offer to the public with the Love Your Market Town initiative, several workshops on make your own pilgrim badge. And this was the first time we've done it, and they went really well, actually. So there's a photograph of some bits of cuttlefish. And did you know you could use cuttlefish to carve out to make a mold for making your own pilgrim badges? There you are. Then if we go on to item 2, as previously reported, the museum has been the beneficiary of a legacy from brother and sister Eric and Rita Newman, and in line with their interest in local history and collections, we're using some of this funding to support collections-based projects, if members are able to come along to the day at the visit to Aikman's Yard, we can explain a little bit more about exactly what they've been doing. But part of it, as Robin mentioned earlier, is to do with providing access, really. Access to the information, the knowledge, photographs we'll be working towards of the collections. And yes, it's, as mentioned in the report here, so far we've enhanced over 4,700 object records, and I think this is going to be an invaluable legacy of this this Newman project. So very pleased with how it's going. If we go on to section 3, other museum developments, we continue to share information on collections and local history and events on our social media. There's an example in the report featuring one of the paintings by Walter Dexter that we have on display in the museum. And we also have other ways of sharing collections digitally that are mentioned in the report. Item 3.2, we have 2 teaching museum trainees, one solely based at King's Lynn, Alice, and also we have Anna, who's working both at Thetford and King's Lynn. They're learning about museum work to help them with future career choices, and they are also invaluable members of the team and offering extra capacity for us to do work at the museum. So they've been brilliant, and there may be a chance to meet them when you come to either to the opening of the exhibition that I mentioned, or perhaps to Aikman's Yard as well. Item 3.3, the building work at Lynn Museum has been completed. This is to keep the structure safe and sound. Tie beams have been inserted into the extension to the chapel and the schoolroom, and you can see on the outside of the building the decorative tie plates that have been made to hold those together. So do look out for those next time you are in the vicinity of the old chapel building of Lynn Museum. 3.4 retail offer at Lynn Museum continues to be developed, and we now have a Seahenge mug in a lovely box with Lynn Museum on the bottom of the mug. So I think that's something that we'd spoken about before, and that's now in place for visit. It makes a nice looking gift as well. Actually, I think it's going to be good, and we've got some lovely greetings cards using the Taylor seed packets as the designs, which again I think will be a good line.
Can I ask at that point then, will these mugs be on sale at other museums so that they'll see it and then come and visit you as well, if not by one of the branches?
That's a very good question. We work closely with HAT, and one of the benefits of being part of Norfolk Museum Service is that link up with other museums. It's something we'd need to discuss with HAT.
No, absolutely, and as Oliver said, HAT's obviously responsible for the retail outlets across NMS, but we also work with a number of other partner organisations, so I'm sure she'll be exploring opportunities, but I can ask her that question.
So to continue with the report, Borough Council partnership working continues, and my colleague Dana Woolbright has been a valuable member of the team working on developments at the Guildhall, both in terms of future interpretation there, but also some of the programming, the exhibitions and the events there. The Magic of Middle-earth, the Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit themed exhibition that's been popular there. I think they had very large numbers go through on Heritage Open Day recently. Is coming down, I think that's coming down today and this week. There will be a new exhibition there, the Lay of the Land, which opens shortly, about East Anglian landscape, painting, sculpture and ceramics. And then she's working also on the Dragon Festival coming up and a big Christmas event at the Guildhall.
What's the Dragon Festival?
So this was a tradition in King's Lynn as part of parades in the town. I don't know if you've come across the dragon paraded, what are they called? Objects around Norwich, and they used to do that in King's Lynn as well.
Yeah.
And so it's appropriate, and also the dragon features on the King's Lynn coat of arms as well. That's the connection.
Am I correct in saying it's the Whifflers who do the dragon parade?
Checking through the notes for the report. Yes, other support has included helping the Borough Council here in this building, the Town Hall, for advice on management of the historic collections here. And recently there was Dana assisted with the making good of the floor in the rooms through there, the assembly rooms, and that involved protecting the chandeliers and the paintings, and that was a recent piece of work that she did. And just finally on this section, just to mention again the free admission period, which starts on the 1st of October and will run through to the end of March 2025. And this is a free admission period is provided under the terms of the service level agreement between the Borough Council and Norfolk Museum Service. And I'll pause there.
Right.
Oh, yes. Very quick one. How do we publicise the fact that the museum is free in the winter months? Because I mean, this will make quite a difference to people that maybe feel that, a cost is prohibitive, but they would come if it's free, and they might come again and come to activities. Do we have a media strategy for that?
So we say free admission, October to March on the big banners at the front of the museum. We have, so people in the bus station area can, when they look across the Lynn Museum, can see it's free through the winter period. And then we use other marketing strategies around social media, and website is important too. And probably other things that I've forgotten. I'm going to look towards Robin to see.
So it's a very well established offer, and as such, we've got a really good sort of marketing plan around how to sort of remind people of, as you say, it's a really good offer, particularly for local people. So it's about the, as Oliver said, the stuff that you can see if you're waiting for a bus, literally, to remind you that you can go in and just browse the museum, but equally using social media, online channels, etc., and our other sort of core marketing, just to sort of reinforce the message that it's free of charge. And it also links into the way that we promote our events and temporary exhibitions during that period. So often if there's a social media activity around the current exhibition or a particular activity, it will remind visitors that it's actually free of charge to come into the museum at that point. So it's a really valuable part of the offer at the museum, and particularly benefits people living locally.
Can I throw this one to Norrin? Could we not advertise this in the members' bulletin? And the various talks that are relevant for that bulletin's period?
Yeah.
Because theoretically, some of the councillors might be interested in the borough and its history. And if they're aware of it by seeing it in the members' bulletin,
Yes.
they might come along.
If you send me an email as a reminder to pop that in, we can certainly get that introduced in the members' bulletin.
Yes, is there a county?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll leave the
Yes.
county councillor to do
Yes.
the county bulletin then.
Yes.
Carry on, please.
So item 5 is around learning and outreach, and the Lynn Museum continues to offer visits for school children coming to the museum, and there's a wide range of different topics that are covered, and these are popular. We often will have a variety of different sessions for the children to do as a kind of carousel of activities, partly delivered by our own staff and partly by costumed interpreters that are freelance workers. And there's a link here if you are interested to find out more about how we do delivery for schools, just there. And one of the good things about King's Lynn is the fantastic other heritage sites in the town. And we have a good link up here with Stories of Lynn, for example. So children, you may see children walking across the town between the two sites on a day when they're coming to learn about a particular topic. And I think I'll pass on now to Robin for the Kick the Dust Norfolk project update. Thank you.
Thanks, Oliver. So from page 24, members have got the sort of the normal update we provide around our Kick the Dust project activities. So I won't go through that in any detail, but obviously to remind members, this is the programme by which we engage with young people, most of whom are in the age range 16 to 25. And in most cases, young people who wouldn't normally see museums or heritage as being relevant to their lives, working in partnership with, amongst others, YMCA and a range of other youth organisations. And members will be aware that we are currently delivering Kick the Dust programmes that are principally funded through Arts Council England, whereby we're receiving over a 4-year period specific funding to support this work, with a particular emphasis on Great Yarmouth, King's Lynn and Thetford, but also working with Norfolk's Public Health and receiving funding from Public Health to support our work county-wide, with a particular focus on our work around young people's mental health and well-being. Building on what I was saying earlier in response to a question from Councillor Kemp, as part of our Arts Council Uplift programme, we're working really closely with the library service and are now developing groups for young people that are based in a number of local libraries, We are continuing to work really closely with a range of partners to make sure that the programme remains county-wide and engaging with as many young people as possible. At the top of page 26, you've got the latest update taking us to the end of July for interventions with young people. So this is really tracking the work we've done since the Arts Council England project started at the beginning of May 23 through, in this case, to the end of July. And you can see that there have been over 2,000 interventions with around 890 young people who've taken part in over 1,800 hours of quality activity. So we're continuing to deliver a broad range of programmes working with a large number of young people. And most of the time, those young people are actively involved in leading and designing the project. So we're not delivering to them, they're actually involved in shaping where the project goes. As we've reported previously and as detailed on page 26 into page 27, we've been working increasingly closely with public health colleagues around how we evaluate mental health and wellbeing impacts from the work that we're doing with young people. We are enhancing that work at the moment, and our Kick the Dust project coordinator, Christine Marston, is working with the evaluation team from public health to refine the data that we're collecting. And ultimately what we're wanting to do is be able to demonstrate the impact of this work in terms of young people's mental health and be able to use data that is recognisable to public health and NHS colleagues. So really important, that partnership with public health, because it means we can then talk the language of that sector in terms of demonstrating the impact of the work that we're doing. We carry out evaluation with all young people engaging with Kick the Dust, and for those that are working with us over a more extended period, perhaps supporting a particular project, we're doing now more detailed mental health evaluation. Something like 36% of the young people we're working with are currently reporting mental health issues. Apologies, but in the report there was a formatting error. So as you go on to page 28, you should have seen a couple of tables that actually track the impact on young people's mental health, but the formatting has gone awry. So we'll make sure we share those after the meeting so that you've got the detail. But you can see outlined in the narrative on page 28 that following evaluation, 41% of the young people participating in the programmes agree that working with us has had a positive impact on their mental health, and 44% agree their involvement in the programmes have helped them have more positive mental health. So this is really interesting stuff, and we're now using the Warwick Edinburgh Mental Health Wellbeing Scale to really track where young people were before they started working with us, where they were at the end. So we'll keep reporting that to this committee, obviously, but it's really important for the programme to be able to demonstrate those impacts, particularly as we seek further partners and also seek further funding. The project does provide lots of opportunities for young people to get actively involved, not only in being part of projects and working as part of groups, but also in the oversight of the project and its governance. So we have a project steering group that includes on it a number of young people. And we also have a group of young ambassadors who meet regularly with the project coordinator to ensure that young people's voice is being heard in terms of the planning and delivery of the project, not just being recipients of its activities. The other thing I wanted to update members on was where we are with our successor National Lottery Heritage Fund project, Your Heritage, Your Future. So members will recall that we had secured round one development funding from National Lottery Heritage Fund to undertake a more detailed application in partnership with YMCA Leicestershire. That application was submitted on schedule at the end of May, and the funding committee is due to be reaching its decision later this week. So we're crossing fingers that that application is successful. If it is, that will see us working with YMCA Leicestershire as well as YMCA Norfolk across both East of England and East Midlands to further develop our work around engagement with.
I think we've got a couple of questions pending here.
Yes.
Michael.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to commend you on the work that you've done with the youngsters and the wellbeing. It's extraordinarily important, especially in these current times and challenges that we face. You mentioned seeking further partners and funding. So is this with a view to continuation or expanding your outreach? And also what is being done? I appreciate this is being done within Norfolk. Is it being replicated outside of Norfolk? Thank you.
Thank you. So our core funding is currently secure for 4 years through Arts Council England. So members may recall we received additional funding from Arts Council England, which takes us through, I think, to 2027, and that covers our core kick the dust shaped activity in Norfolk. So that means we've been able to maintain our team of project workers based across the county who are delivering the programmes that we've been reporting on. We also receive revenue funding in the current year from Public Health within Norfolk, and we're looking to see how that relationship can be developed. And that's where that hard data around measuring impacts around mental health outcomes is really important. And if that is successful, that will see essentially additional activity happening that's particularly focused around mental health outcomes. In terms of sharing the sort of benefits of this more widely, that's very much at the heart of this new National Tree Heritage Fund funding bid. So Your Heritage, Your Future is around taking the sort of practice we've developed in Norfolk and not only looking to develop it further in Norfolk to the benefit of people living here, but also to then extend that learning across the whole of the East of England and East Midlands, working in partnership with the Museum Development Agencies, Museum Development South East and Museum Development Midlands, to basically work with, well, the target for the project is 40 museums across those areas to help them develop their own practice around working with young people, and also to provide a range of paid training opportunities to young people, both in Norfolk and across those wider regions. So that's very much around taking the experience we've developed within Norfolk and then extending it on a regional scale.
Thank you.
And the other Michael.
I've probably asked you this before, but are you working with the NSFT on, because there's quite a lot on mental health here, and sometimes if you get it wrong, I can do great harm. But normally, did you work with the NSFT? And also, you're working with Gary Tucson, the county archivist, on changed minds?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are working with those partners, and in terms of the Record Office, as you say, the Change Minds programmes, which was initially funded again through the National Tree Heritage Fund, really impactful. And we've been working with Gary and his colleagues, including developing options for if this project is successful in terms of National Tree Heritage funding. That would include a paid traineeship based here, actually, working with the archive as well as with Stores of Lynn and Lynn Museum. So that would be applying some of that Change Minds.
Because they're all very good use as well.
Yeah, and I think I may have pointed our project coordinator, Christine Marsden, in your direction, Councillor Dwally, after your question at the previous meeting, so I can ask her to get back in touch with you.
I just want to know what's any developments there.
Again, I think she'd be able to update you directly if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yes, an excellent report. And one thing that I want to say, how commendable it is that you're facilitating young people to feel more confident, but also more connected to the community. And I think this is what's come out. People can explore their own cultural identity and heritage. You've got opportunities there for people with neurodiversity. And in one of the previous reports, you said that it actually made young people think they wanted to stay in Lynn and work. And I think that's really tremendous. And that's the impact of the heritage information and learning that they're doing. I mean, what sort of areas are you looking at for people to work and kick the dust? I mean, I know there's a lot of work's been done in the Guildhall, the Town Hall, other places, the Custom House, you know, the Carnegie. All of these, do they all get a chance to look at the full rich offer that we've got in Lynn?
So we've had trainees based in a number of different settings, and as I said, we've just developed this traineeship offer that would work across the Borough Archive and Stores of Lynn. We've also, as part of the development phase for the Your Heritage, Your Future project, we had a trainee posted at True's, which was really testing out how a paid traineeship model would work in a museum that had, you know, quite limited staff resources, you know, with Lindsay and the volunteers. So, and that was really positive feedback from that traineeship. But through the Kick the Dust programs, as mentioned, we're also working with libraries, both the main King's Lynn Library, but also Gaywood, in terms of developing libraries as a base for some of that community sort of work. And as you say, very much getting young people engaged with the community on their doorstep. And that's something we're continuing to sort of develop as we go forward.
Could there be an opportunity for us to meet some of these dust kickers at some point to talk to them?
Absolutely. So I was actually going to suggest, Chair, that at a future meeting, we might want to give members a sort of update on our Kick the Dust work. I'm sort of mindful that we're very shortly, members will be aware that Elizabeth Joyce, who's the Stores of Lynn Learning Engagement Officer, who leads on a lot of our Kick the Dust work in King's Lynn, is just about to go off on maternity leave. We're recruiting her temporary cover at the moment. And it would be perhaps useful once that new person has found their feet to come along and join perhaps our Kick the Dust coordinator, Christine Marsden, in giving members an update of the work that's going on in King's Lynn. And that would certainly bring an opportunity to, you know, introduce as well some of the young people who are working locally. As I mentioned, we have young people actively involved in our steering group, and they were part of the project board. So we've got, you know, young people who are very actively involved in project governance, who I'm sure will be, if the timings work out, happy to either join physically or remotely to tell members about what they're doing. I've got to hand back to Oliver just to give a final update on the visitor figures.
So the visitor figures, as I mentioned earlier, are good for Lynn Museum. So far this year, which covers the April to August period, we've had just under 9,000 visitors, 8,995 to be precise. Last year was 7,300. The year before, 5,600. So you can see there's a sort of an upward trend. Because of the pre-admission period at the museum, the October to March period we always get more visitors in that time. So it looks like the trend is on to be at least as good as last year, possibly better. Last year we had a total of 23,881 visitors, which had been something of a record in recent years. So pleased with the visitor numbers.
Michael.
Sorry, Chair, normally you have a little spreadsheet you circulate. Do we have that, please? Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
With all these extra visitors, are we getting any appreciable damage or anything accidental, deliberate, wear and tear? Is there a point where you don't want lots more people?
There's there's been no particular damage, so we, no, I think we're within our capacity. It's not, we haven't got too many visitors, so I think it's fine.
Just to say, Chair, we will update on the stories of Lynn numbers when those have been updated. So as Oliver mentioned, the final sort of row is missing figures for August. So we'll update numbers when we have those.
Oh, yes, a quick one. Could you let us know about the outcome of the application for the Kick the Dust project, the one that you're getting this week? Who's that from? Is that going to be from the National Lottery or?
Lottery Heritage Fund, yes. So the committee meeting is happening this week. What we don't know is when the decision will be relayed, one way or the other.
Okay, doesn't look like we've got anybody to present the Trews Yard report. Or is somebody online?
You were not here last time, when I explained that Lindsay has got a part-time job in Cambridge, so she won't be available on a Monday, so she won't be coming, so I'm here.
Fine, do your thing.
I mean, the report says it all, but one of the recent exhibitions was the history of fish and chips, which I loved because when my brother and I were little, we used to go and stay with our grandmother, and one of the things, this was in Cheshire, but one of the things we did first of all was to go and get fish and chips, and there was a chip making machine which you had to put a potato in, and then a handle was pulled to make the chips, and we used to be fascinated by this. And the man that was making the chips would suddenly pick it was a glass screen there, and would suddenly pick up a potato and throw it at the screen, making us jump. But there was one of those machines in the exhibition, so I was pleased to see it. There were some lovely photographs of some fantastic Art Deco fish and chip ranges, I suppose you call them. I don't know what they're called, but they were lovely, and I might mention that in a minute. And then we had the summer art exhibition, which was the work of Alan Castleton, and it's the last time he's going to exhibit. He actually makes paintings from photographs, and so he's a copyist in that respect. But he suddenly had something happen to him, and he couldn't see, and gradually he's got his sight back. And I don't think anybody really knows how it went or why it came back. But he did this exhibition, which was it was really good, really lovely paintings. So we had just under 1,800 visitors for that. And he has offered 2 paintings with so that we can sell them. And I don't know what the outcome of that is yet. We've got a series of Trews talks coming up. Death in the Time of Cholera, which is a book I've read, but I don't think it's about the same. It's about the subject of cholera, but it's about London rather than South America. There are quite a few. There's another history of fish and chips talk as well. So they've been very popular. They're just lunchtime sessions, and they last for about an hour, unless Paul's doing it. Because Paul's talks often go on a lot longer, don't they? Pat Midgley, who was the founder, memorial lecture is coming up, and it's by Dr. Jago Cooper, who was director at the Sainsbury Centre, and he's a professor of art and archaeology at UEA. So that will be, I think that'll be a popular talk. And that's held at the town hall. Heritage Open Day was very good. I usually volunteer somewhere, but through the Civic Society. But this year I opted to volunteer directly with True's Yard, and what I liked about it was lots of people. There were just a few short of 700 people in, which is about 100 up from last year. But we don't, that end of town doesn't feature so highly, because I know that at the Minster there were about 1,400 visitors, but also the road was closed, St Nicholas Street, and it meant that the bus couldn't go all the way through, and that really helped in previous years. The bus would turn the park at opposite True's Yard, and then people could get off there and have a look around. So I think we probably missed a few more, but there were people coming in who were North Enders or related to North Enders, and in the foyer there's the Samfer cart, the Samfer man, and now that one was benefit, but I have looked it up, and were other Samfer men as well, but they went in different areas, and there were some of his relatives came in at separate times, and they didn't seem to know of each other, but that was that was really good. I thought that they were really pleased to see it, and there was something else that come to that, I think. I lost my notes now. Anyway, I'll come to something else in a minute. The mayor held a dinner for the charity, and for True's Yard. Your two charities are the Sea Cadets and True's. Yeah. I don't know how it went, because I unfortunately didn't hear about it until too late, and I'd already got 2 other things in my diary, so it was difficult to go. Was it enjoyable? Good talk?
My apologies, Chairman, for being late, but my other 2 fellow ward councillors are away, and there was a chance to nip something in the bud. And what do? Try and solve it, don't you? But I didn't think it will take that long. But I think we have reached an agreement where it's gone away now. Anyway, Friday night was a wonderful success. There was over 100, and that was brilliant to hear the 2 brothers who found it, and the Claire, who is a professor at the UEA, gave a report as well on the history of the boat. But and I was privileged because they sat each side of me, and I could hear more the in-depth what went on and the problems they have with the MOD, and still have, really, because it's a Norfolk find, and they wish it to remain in Norfolk, and they've had a bit of a struggle with the MOD, who wanted to try and claim it, which they've now backed off. So it will be, any artifacts will be displayed in Norfolk. That's what they wanted.
Thank you. So in December, there's going to be something around St Nicholas Day. Not sure what is going to happen yet. What I did say to Paul and also to Mark, who's the rector of the Minster, is it's a shame we couldn't link the 2 together, because there's always there's a service held in St Nicholas Chapel, and it would be good if we could do something at the same time before St Nicholas Day, because it's the right place to be, isn't it? St Nicholas Chapel. It's one of the 4. I read recently that St Nicholas Chapel was deconsecrated, but it isn't, and it has 4 opportunities for services, so there's always one at St Nicholas Day. The Friends of True's Yard are putting on some events, and they do suppers as well, fundraising suppers. I'm actually going to be doing 3 of the paranormal nights. I'm not attending, I'm going to be there to look up, which worries me a bit in case they disturb anything when I'm looking up on my own at 11:30.
How many friends are there?
I don't know. It's a good question and I will find out. I'm a friend, but there are lots of others as well. I think there's been a lack of communication between trustees and friends, because I never knew what was happening at their events, but I do know now because I've asked and said, can that information be passed on to trustees and other people that might be interested. So we've had lots of children's events, like other museums, and we've had a good turnout. It's a very small museum, so the numbers can't be great anyway. But we've had 22 at one, 15 at another, 28 at another, and then with the Victorian Summer Fair, Fun Fair, in the document that you've got, it may not say the numbers, but there were 83 who came to that. So it's really wonderful. We've got our fairly new employees, very good at promoting the children's events as well. She makes them look very interesting, so that's very good. And then the oral history project, it's gone up by 10, but that's 5 in this year, but it's 5 since the last meeting, this meeting, the museum's meeting. And there are more and more people, well, some of the people that came on Heritage Open Day said, I told them about it and they're interested in coming to tell the stories, because a lot of these people won't be around for too much longer. We've got 2,300 followers on Facebook, and Twitter is, sorry, X is 1,443, and Instagram 461. The figures, visitor numbers are, they don't include this nearly 700. I was counting some of them, but by the end of the day, lost count, although we had, somebody else was doing the clicker. And it was, as I said, it was nearly 700. I think it was 694 or something like that. So, but the figures generally from April to August were 2,000 and were 4,703, which is, I think, is pretty good for a museum that's out of the way. Yeah, so I've mentioned the Sanford man, and I also mentioned the fish and chips, one of the visitors on Heritage Open Day told me that her uncle had the fish and chip which one of the pictures was featured in the exhibition. So people did like I think that's it then.
Thank you. Does the Trews Yard take part in the free October to March scheme, or do they still?
We're not included in it. We would do, badly. It is something that I've alerted the chairman, Paul Richards, to talk to Borough Council about.
Yes,
I think it could make a difference.
It certainly would make sense, wouldn't it?
It would, yes.
Michael.
Thank you, Chair. I will continue to press for just that, if I may. A quick question. I wanted to see the Ellen Castleton exhibition. You mentioned it in the past. It says it's got 2 weeks in the report. Has it been come and gone?
I think it's just, I don't know. I'm sorry. I think it's just about finishing. I was told this a couple of weeks. I got my copy of the report a couple of weeks ago. So it's just about, yeah, I'll find out and email you and let you know.
That's kind.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the Jago Cooper as well.
Yes.
It's an excellent programme of community engagement and talks. Thank you.
Apologies for mispronouncing his first name. I should know, because years ago I worked for Jaeger and that was the same J.
Chairman, if I could just fill in a couple of gaps left. I realised there was a gap between the friends and the trustees. What we've done in my year, we've put the Sea Cadets and the Trews Yard together, and we've and she's joined us and joined us wholeheartedly. Mandy Pope, the chairman of the Friends, has joined with us and the Sea Cadets, and we're working as one excellent committee. Believe you should have seen it here on Friday night. They served the food as well, all of them, and that was a wonderful evening. And so there is not a mishmash between the Friends and the trustees now. That is really working well together, and we're supporting one another. And also on Heritage Day, we had well over 2,000 people through the door here. And everybody seemed to want to talk to me, which is fine, which was great. But you go home a bit shattered at the end of the day, you know. But that was wonderful. And people, and my icebreaker question was, are you local? No, I come from Manchester just to come to King's Lynn. I come from Leicester. I come from Melton Mowbray, Luton, all over the place, you know, which was absolutely wonderful. And they were singing the praises of King's Lynn, no end. And yeah, a wonderful, wonderful day this Sunday.
Yes,
I'm still recovering.
I reiterate that because I've been involved with it for years,
Yeah.
and people do come from all over the country. I've spoken to James, who's chairman of the Friends, about this connection, and I've also spoken to Mandy, and she actually emailed me about something this morning. So you know, an event which I booked for all day.
It was pointed out to me the other day, it's great that we are still producing literature for people to pick up. We had a guest staying the other day that picked up a leaflet for the Fakenham Gas Museum and thoroughly enjoyed it when they got there, but they'd never have known about it without the leaflet. Okay, people say, well, put something into the internet, but you're going to put in a question, is there a gas museum in the area? No, you're not, but you're going to spot there is a gas museum. And if you're that way inclined, go and see it. So as far as I'm concerned, very important to keep the tourist office going, keep the literature going, because not everybody goes online, not everybody knows the question to ask. And a lot of these places will find a great drop in visitors if they don't keep their literature going. Anything for the information centre and stories of Lynn?
Thank you, Chair. Just furthering your point, the importance of signposting people. For me, we all the attractions need to signpost to each other, so we get if we get one person, they go somewhere else within King's Lynn and they know what's available. Thank you.
Okay, just before I get to number 10, could we have an item for the next agenda item on future agendas, in case somebody has a bright idea? Good. And the date of the next meeting is the 13th of January, it's next year even, 2025, 2 p.m. in here. And hopefully we'll see all of you then.
And sorry, just before we close, Chair, we said about the Aikman's Yard tour, just a date, it will get sent round to the committee, but we're looking at Friday, the 11th of October at 2 p.m. for a tour at Aikman's Yard.
Sadly, I won't be here. I'll be on a train. But for those of you who haven't been to Aikman's Yard, it's well worth a look. Don't wear anything too smart. It's quite dusty. But there's lots to see and lots of things there which everybody else should be seeing.